So there's conversations that doctors have with patients that maybe doctors should have among themselves, and that families should have together, and maybe we should have with ourselves. And we're going to talk about those conversations about death. But first, we're going to have the first course come out.
First course. So your first course is going to be shaved asparagus with spring onions, pickled spring onions, a little artichoke heart. So we've captured the buds and the flowers. A marbled quail egg in the nest on top of English pea emulsion. It's also a hazelnut parsley butter. The flavors are going to be the flavors of spring. The visual, as you can see, it's an egg in a nest. And I've garnished them with the egg shells. They're not edible. You can push them to the side, but I wanted to be true to the concept, you know. Yes, and so from Love in the Time of Cholera, he allowed himself to be swayed by his conviction that human beings are not born once and for all on the day that their mothers give birth to them, but life obliges them over and over again to give birth to themselves. Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Bon appetit. I mean, I wanted to, please dig in, but I wanted to start this by asking the very basic question of why talk about death? It's an unpleasant subject. It's something even though there may be good deaths, it's certainly something we'd like to avoid. Most of us don't look forward to our own deaths, nor the deaths of those who we love. So as we're thinking about this and people are listening to this, they might be wondering, why should I bother to do that? This is a painful subject. I won't start this conversation until I absolutely have to. And I wondered, I'm sure you've encountered people like this, and I wondered, how do you respond to that when someone says, why should I do this? Why should I talk about death?
I'll say how I start my groups with people by saying that death is a natural thing that happens. Everything is dying. We're all dying. Everything around us is dying. It's the one thing we all share. It's the one thing besides birth that we all share. It's very natural. And so why don't we talk about it? We've been culturally conditioned somehow, and we need to get over it. So we start immediately talking about what people's thoughts are about it. Go around the room, and people find out they can talk about it. It's such a relief to them. They immediately say, this takes such a load off of me. All the energy I've been using to keep that pushed down and not talk about it, I now have for other things. So it takes about 3 sessions to get fully comfortable, and then they don't want to stop. By the end, they want to keep talking. So I think it's a natural thing to talk about, but somehow our culture has gotten fearful. A lot of fear has come in.
My sense about the difficulty of talking about death and why, your question about why don't we talk about it, is I think there's just this tremendous worry about what it means to talk about death in our particular culture. And for example, in the cancer center, the cancer clinic, it's kind of about losing the battle, right? It's kind of about failing. It's kind of about not winning the lottery. And so that's all pretty threatening. And I'm not sure you can counter it completely with an argument. Do you know, the rational, here's the thing, because we've been doing it for years, it hasn't worked. Here are all of the reasons you should talk about death.
Well, that brings up a really good point, though, of always being ready to die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, you've probably heard many quotes of various people to that effect. Stephen Levine says, if you're here now, you'll be there then. And Buddhists certainly talk a lot about being present to the moment and knowing every moment that this could be your last moment, and always being ready. And frankly, I think that's the best way to be passionately alive, is to always be aware that death's sitting on your shoulder and could take you at any time. Thank
Well,
you.
one way to encourage people to talk about death more would be to have such a fabulous meal in front of
Exactly.
them. And Hayden is here to introduce our next course.